a cloudy and cool Tuesday morning. Welcome on into the bullpen. I am your host, Adam the Bull, and there's a lot to get there. Believe it or not, I didn't have a lot to get to, but I got to shout out my guy, Nick Wilson, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But before I do that, I want to say that this podcast, as always, is brought to you by Bet Rivers. If you're not using the Bet Rivers app, you are missing out. Get on the app today. My man Z just missed hitting a parlay last night. He missed it by one Jose Barrios strikeout. One! But today could be your day. Today could be the day that you're a big winner. So check out the Bet Rivers app. Check it out today for all your betting needs, from soccer to baseball to football around the corner, boxing, UFC, tennis. We do big tennis. And speaking of which, not tennis, but speaking of betting, I will be on Betting Weekly Hardball today at 2 p.m. So make sure you check that out. Chris Massaro and myself, 2 p.m. Eastern time, a little under 5 hours from now. It's Betting Weekly Hardball. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. Make sure you get in the YouTube chat, and we'll jump in. Mr. King says, Darius Garland, two-time All-Star, would put Bull in a blender and feed him salad after. Where did that come from? I don't want salad. Mr. King, respectfully, Bull, if you're going to talk crap about people's appearances, change your graphic. Damn, Mr. King. When did I talk crap about people's appearances? I'm fully aware of my weight and my appearance. There's no delusions here. Evan says, good morning. Stephen Allen Spencer says, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I got to talk about my guy, Nick Wilson. Nick, of course, and I worked together at the Fan for a number of years when he was doing the night show. Then he went down to North Carolina. And when I left 92.3 The Fan, he got my gig, right? Not my gig. I shouldn't say that. I left, and he got an opportunity, and he took advantage of it, and he's doing a great job. I love busting his balls, but he's doing a great job. He took over for me. He worked with Dustin for a while, and then my buddy Jonathan Peterlin got an opportunity. Now the two of them are doing their thing, and I'm very happy for him. So Nick just put out, he said official quarterback. Oh, it's not just Nick. I'm blaming Nick, but it's Nick and Jonathan. So they just put out a list. I like this. I like that they did it. Because let's face it, there's not much to talk about. I was going to start with some topic I had concocted, but I find this interesting more than what I was going to talk about. So I'm glad they did this. So Nick and Jonathan, their preseason quarterback tiers. Elite. First, I'll read them, and then I'll give you some thoughts on what they said. Elite, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Near elite, Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Justin Herbert. Very good, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love, and Bo Nix. Functional, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Tua Tagovailoa. Potentially washed, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco, Trevor Lawrence. Verdict is out. Drake May, I don't know if I like the title of that, but whatever. I understand what they're saying. Drake May, Bryce Young, Michael Penix Jr., and J.J. McCarthy. Danger zone. Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, and Caleb Williams. And GTFOH, you know what that means. The Saints. They didn't even list the quarterback, just the Saints. And Anthony Richardson. So kudos to these guys. I like the list. I disagree with some of it. I think a couple of things are particularly outrageous. And I want to know, I said to Nick, I texted him, and I said, and I tweeted at him too. I said, Jalen Hurts better than Joe Burrow? there's no planet where anybody thinks Jalen Hurts is better than. I don't know how Jalen Hurts is elite. He's not, and I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. He's clearly not elite. Joe Burrow is, in my opinion, I guess. Listen, am I biased? I guess. I don't see how you can not see Joe Burrow as elite. But I asked Nick, I texted him, and I said, about to talk about your tier list. Burrow not being elite, but Hurts is. He says one is a Super Bowl winner in the last 3 years, and the other has put up great stats on bad teams in the last 3 years. At some point, team success has to matter as much as big stats. I couldn't disagree with that more. Yes, team success has to matter in terms of when you're breaking down guys of equal value. If you're talking about guys on the same level, like the elite quarterbacks, of which Jalen Hurts is not, you want to put Patrick Mahomes on the top of the elite category because he's won. That's absolutely reasonable. But I think jumping levels, and I'm curious, you folks, what you think about this. There's a poll on our Twitter now, or in our YouTube chat. Is Jalen Hurts better than Joe Burrow? 92% of you have said no. I don't know how anybody. As Evan419 said, give Burrow the Eagles supporting cast and defense, and they win 3 Super Bowls in a row. If Joe Burrow is on the Eagles, forget about it. I mean, are you kidding me? 32 out of 32 teams would take Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts. It's not even close. There's no discussion. And it's disingenuous for Nick to say he's been on a bad team for 3 years. Now, the Bengals haven't gone to the playoffs the last 2 years, but they've not been a bad team. They've been a mediocre team. And that has had zero because of him. Now, you could blame him a little. You could blame Burrow a little for early 23, because he did not play well the first month of 23. So you could blame him for that. And, he was banged up, but I don't use injuries as an excuse, so you could blame him for that. But since then, I mean, none of it's on him. I mean, last year you can't play better than he did. You can't. You really can't. And the defense was just absolute trash. And so, to me, that's crazy. But, hey, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And sometimes you're wrong. You can't always get it right. Is there anybody that agrees with Nick on this? This is just wild to me. Now, let's look at some other things that he's got on here. To me, I would say, and some of these are tough. I'll tell you the guys that are tricky. Another thing that's bad, and I'm a big Jared Goff fan, but you can't put him in near elite. You can't put him in near elite. Even if you want to put Jalen Hurts ahead of Burrow, that's crazy. But even if you do, you can't put Jared Goff and Dak Prescott in the same category as Joe Burrow. It doesn't make any sense. So Jared Goff should be in the next group, which is very good. Somebody said to me that Baker shouldn't be in the very good. He should be lower. I got to say I disagree. Based on these categories, how we're ranking these, I would agree. I would agree with Nick in this case, Nick and Jonathan, that Baker Mayfield belongs in the very good. Now, Bo Nix doesn't. Bo Nix has only done it for 1 year. I would put Tua in the very good, actually, ahead of Bo Nix. Now, the problem with Tua, obviously, he's always gets hurt. So maybe if you want to knock him down to functional because of that, I could live with that. You can't. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, to me, should be in functional, not potentially washed. How do you put Sam Darnold in functional of a one good year when Trevor Lawrence is younger? He's had a year as good as Darnold, and I don't love Trevor Lawrence, but I'd put him in functional. The rest of potentially washed is good. The verdict is out is an interesting one. I agree with that list. Drake May. I think a lot of people would not have Drake May in verdict is out. They might need one more category here. Kind of. on the rise maybe is where you could put Bo Nix and Drake May. I'm not completely sold on Drake May like a lot of others are, so I believe the verdict is out. I think that's a fair place to put Bryce Young. Now, I believe by the end of this year, Bryce Young could be as high as the very good category, but I can't put him there yet. Certainly, Penix and McCarthy belong in verdict is out. I like the danger zone. I agree with that list. I agree with the get the fuck out of here list. So overall, I actually think this is a pretty good list here that that Nick and Jonathan put together. I actually agree with a good chunk of it. I just think that's one major egregious mistake. Yeah, even Jaden Daniel. I think I'd put Jaden Daniels in very good because it's only been 1 year. As much as any, I'm not going to get to that. As great as he was, and I think he could be elite in the next 2 years. But then again, if you ask me, if I'm starting a team today, would I rather have Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts? I'd rather have Jaden Daniels. To me, the elite quarterbacks are clearly Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, and Burrow. And then the next group is probably Stafford, Daniels. I know a lot of people wouldn't even put Jalen Hurts in near elite. They'd probably put him in very good. Some people would put him lower. I would put him in near elite. I'd rather have Jalen Hurts than Dak Prescott, than Jared Goff. But I would rather have, at least for 1 year, certainly I'd rather have Joe Burrow. I'd rather have Justin Herbert. I'd rather have Justin Herbert than Jalen Hurts. That might be controversial, but I would. For 1 year, I'd rather have Matthew Stafford than Jalen Hurts. And I would, even though it's 1 year, I would rather have Jaden Daniels than Jalen Hurts. I'd take Jalen Hurts over Dak. I'd take Jalen Hurts over Goff. I'd take Jalen Hurts over any of the guys in the very good, Baker, Stroud, Love, and Nix. Of that group of 4 guys, I would go Stroud. I think it's tough between the other guys. I'd probably have to say Baker second in that group, followed by Love and then Nix. In his functional group, Purdy, Murray, Smith, Darnold, and Tua. Like I said, I'd flip Darnold and Tua. Darnold, I don't even know what category to put him in. I guess you could leave him in functional, but I'd put him at the bottom of that list. I'd have Lawrence ahead of him. I would have Tua in the very. I would actually have Tua. Probably Stroud, Baker, then Tua. If I knew Tua was going to stay healthy, I'd probably have him at the top of that group. But because of the injury concerns, I'll have him below Baker. And then the functional group, for me, would be Lawrence, Purdy, Murray, Smith, and Darnold. I don't even know what order to put those guys in. I still would probably, even though I'm not a believer, I still would probably, if I had to choose between Lawrence, Purdy, Murray, Smith, and Darnold, I'd still probably take Lawrence. And it's probably the wrong call, but I still think he has more upside than the other guys. And then Murray, and then Purdy, and Darnold and Smith and Darnold. Of the verdict is out, guys, I'd go Bryce Young, Drake May, Penix, and McCarthy. The danger zone guys all stink. I don't want anything to do with any of them. And there you go. So I give the guys I think they did pretty well overall. I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 because of the egregious mistake there in the beginning. But I appreciate them. Good job, guys, putting that out there. Let's get some reaction to this. Ben says, that's like Eli Manning was better than Peyton when he won his second Super Bowl, to put Jalen Hurts ahead of Burrow. Now, to be fair, Burrow hasn't won any Super Bowls, and Peyton had won one. But I get the point, and I agree with your general sentiment. Evan 419. So by their argument, Sirianni is better coached than Tomlin or Harbaugh. Again, those guys have won championships, and Burrow hasn't, but I get what you're saying. He said 3 years. My guy Max, who's one of the producers for the show, says Saints quarterback should be in the very good category. Tyler Shuck, is he going to be the starter? Mr. King, Hurts smoked Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he did. He played better. And there's no team in the league that would take Hurts over Burrow, and there's no team in the league that would take Hurts over Mahomes. No chance. Z says, where does Shador rank? All the rookies rank in the same area, right? They all rank in verdict is out. All the rookies. They haven't played a game in the league. You can't be anywhere else. And you're talking about guys on that list. J.J. McCarthy hasn't played a game either. Panic's played a few. May played most of the season. Bryce Young's played a few seasons. And he's in that category. So that's where we'd have to put Shador in that category. Sam, thanks for all the bull emojis. Appreciate that. Guardians win their first game, ending a 10-game losing streak. They had scored 9 runs in their previous, 9 runs in their previous 7 games. They had scored 9 runs in their last 7 games, the 3 with Detroit, the 3 with the Cubs, and the last game with St. Louis. In those games, they had scored a total of 9 runs. And then last night they scored 7. It was a high-scoring game overall, 7-5 the final. It was a wild game. It was scoreless going to the 5th. Guardians scored 4 in the top of the 5th. The Astros came right back with 4 in the bottom of the 5th. Shane Bieber had a shutout going through 4 and couldn't get through the 5th. He did not pitch well. Then the Guardians come right back with 2 in the 6th and take a 6-4 lead. Astros get 1 back, 6-5. But that was it until the 9th. The Guardians got a solo shot from David Fry. Just his 3rd of the year. Hasn't had many hits. He's been absolutely awful. But he gets the insurance run. Clase seals the deal in the bottom of the 9th. And the Guardians get the victory. Jose hit his 17th. Bo Naylor hit his 9th in this one. Bybee, again, not good. Matt Festa gave up a run in an inning in the 3rd. But he gets the win out of the pen. Paul Sewald, Hunter Gaddis, Emmanuel Clase combined for 3 perfect innings. Only 1 strikeout between them. Gaddis and Clase did not get any strikeouts. But they were all very efficient. The Guardians got the final 13 outs of the game on 48 pitches. And the last 3 guys, Sewald, Gaddis, and Clase, got the final 9 outs of the game in 31 pitches. That was just over 10 pitches per inning. So good one for the Guardians, but sadly it doesn't really matter. They, they're 15 and a half games out of first. They have the 4th worst record in the American League. They're a game up on Baltimore for the 3rd worst record in the league, and only, 37 for the 5.5 ahead of the A's for the 2nd worst record in the league. They probably won't fall that far, but it is what it is. I mean, they're not going to the playoffs. They have the 4th worst run differential. They just don't score enough runs. They're 319 runs scored on the season. The only teams worse are Kansas City and the White Sox in the American League. In the National League, the Pirates are worse. And that's it. So the 4th least amount of runs in the league. And the pitching, which has been, fine and at times good, is just not good enough to overcome the ineptitude of the offense. And I think did I say Bieber instead of Bybee? That's a bad job out of me. I obviously meant to say Bybee. Bieber is not going to be in the big league still, probably August. So, apologize for that. It's Kyle Manzardo is on the family medical emergency list. Somebody had tweeted me wasn't he in the lineup yesterday, and they probably would have sat him anyway because that's what they've been doing. But he went on the family medical emergency list yesterday. They called up John Kenzie Noel, and John Kenzie actually got in the game as a pinch runner, but and then played right field at the end. But so Manzardo will be gone for a couple days probably. But the only thing at this point to look forward to is what are they going to do with the deadline? We're about 3 weeks away from the trade deadline, 3 weeks and change. How aggressive sellers will the Guardians be? They're going to be sellers 100%. Will it just be guys that are free agents at the end of the year, or will a guy like Clase potentially be on the move? We know I'm very sure Santana will get traded. Lane Thomas will get traded. Shane Bieber might get traded. That's going to be a tricky one because he's probably not going to pitch before the deadline. And so, obviously, as good as he could be for a team, I don't know, just don't know how much trade value he has because he's not going to be back. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Manzardo's mom had a heart transplant. That's why he's on the family medical emergency list. So that's the one story, and as much as it's been a running joke about how the Guardians will not call up anybody from the minors that we want to see, as opposed to the Will Wilsons and the John Kenzie Noels that go up and down. Eventually, I feel even nervous saying this, as silly as it is. Eventually, Chase DeLauder and C.J. Kafis will come to the big leagues. Eventually, I would assume that when Carlos Santana is shipped out in the next 3 weeks, we'll finally see Kafis if he's healthy, which he's been, and obviously he's been great. Chase DeLauder has a long injury history, so who knows what will happen with him. But I do think we'll see him at some point. I'm not sure if it's going to be in July. It should be right away. It might not be till August. It's at this point, it's pretty hard to predict what the Guardians are going to do because it seems obvious that some of these guys should be up now, but this is just the way the Guardians handle things, and it's disappointing. Finally, on the Cavs, obviously they've made some tweaks to the roster, and will they make any further significant moves? Who knows? But we could be looking at Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland both returning this year. Last week, Donovan Mitchell spoke about Evan Mobley needing to be more aggressive, calling for the ball. And we were talking about this yesterday on UCSS, and Jason Lloyd brought up this point that obviously Darius is going to be out in the beginning of the season. And it'll be interesting to see how, just with his natural progression as a player, for Evan Mobley, how aggressive he will get and how aggressive the Cavs will get at getting him the ball. And if he takes that step to superstardom next year, if he's able to do that, which is what they need to win a championship. If he does that to start the season, what happens when Darius Garland comes back? So that's the deal there, and it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that. And who knows? Listen, they may still do something when the season, before the season goes. We still got plenty of time. You got Summer League coming up, but for now, it looks like they're going to stick with what they have. That appears to be the case. All right, that's going to do it for me today. I appreciate everybody joining me. I appreciate all the comments. The final poll is Jalen Hurts. Final results. Jalen Hurts better than Joe Burrow. 80% said no. Stunningly. Stunningly. 19% said yes. That's crazy to me. So there you go. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Thanks to Z and Max for producing. I'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.